The back and forth today felt like ping pong with grenades. I'm Ethan Blake, and no one left with a clean record, but plenty left with wounded pride.
Thank you. Senator Kennedy.
Doctor, you don't look like Satan to me.
I hope not.
Some of my colleagues have accused you of everything but abandoning your children to wolves. Do you hate medical research?
I've devoted my life to medical research, Senator.
Do you hate the NIH?
I love the NIH. I think I said that in my Senate hearing, in my earlier Senate
Right.
hearing. I think it's the most important biomedical institution in the world.
This budget that we're debating today is the president's budget. When's the last time Congress took a president's budget and enacted it?
You know, the funny thing is, thanks to this process, I've got to talk with all of y'all.
When's the last time that happened?
I can't remember.
It's never happened in the history of ever.
I mean, everyone has strong opinions about what should happen, and Congress gets to have a say, and that's a good thing.
There's some changes that need to be made at the NIH, aren't there?
There are.
Okay. If I'm the president of a university and I came to you to NIH and said, I need $10 million to research a cure for nephritis, and I took that $10 million and spent $5 million of it renovating the vice provost home, that would be morally repugnant, wouldn't it?
It would.
If I were a college president and I came to NIH and asked for $20 million to research a cure for dementia, and I took $5 million of that and used it to buy a yacht for my university, that would be morally repugnant, wouldn't it?
That would, and no, that's not.
And that's happened before, hasn't it?
That's not hypothetical, alas.
And there's been a lot of talk about the difference between direct costs, spending the money, for example, on researching cures for nephritis, and indirect costs, overhead. Harvard, for example, with a $53 billion endowment, spends 69% of its money from NIH on overhead, does it not?
I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but it's definitely in that range.
Yale spends 67.5% on overhead, does it not?
Again, roughly in that range, yes.
So all this money spent on overhead is money that's not being spent on medical research, is that right?
Well, it's for fixed costs of like lab space and things, but also sometimes for other things. So it's some of it's absolutely necessary.
Well, if I'm the Gates Foundation and I came to the NIH and said, I don't want money, I want to give you money. I want to give you $100 billion.
Yeah.
But you can't spend more than 10% on overhead. Would the NIH turn it down?
I wouldn't turn it down, no. In fact, I think that Gates Foundation overhead rates are roughly, again, in that range, 10 to 15%.
The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation limits overhead to 15%, does it not?
That's what I understand, something like that.
Now, I want you to think in terms of the American people and the importance of medical research. What do you think's more important? And we have finite resources. Okay. And I support giving resources to NIH. I think NIH does breathtakingly innovative work. But if you ask American people, would you rather give money to research cerebrovascular disease, or would you rather give $142,000 to the Seattle Children's Hospital to study how to use telehealth to improve access to gender-affirming care? What do you think the American people would say?
Senator, the NIH should be a non-political organization, non-ideological, addressing the health needs of the American people.
But yet, the NIH also spent $120,000 in a grant to, quote, develop 3D avatars that help people work through gender dysphoria, end quote. Did it not?
It did.
And the NIH also spent $2,368,492, gave it to Brown University to study, quote, improving mental health among the LGBTQ community impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Did it not?
I think it did. Although I have to say that we
Do you
should...
think that's more important than studying chronic lower respiratory disease?
I mean, I think we should address the real health needs of Americans, not divide Americans into we have to take into account the real differences in in the biology of people. But when we do that, we should do it in a way that really addresses their actual health needs. Not
Now, I'm running out of time. What we have to do is spend the money on research.
We should, absolutely.
It's real simple.
I agree with you, Senator, 100%.
And some universities aren't. NIH is not calling them on it. Isn't it a fact that a study showed between 2017 and 2019, auditors found 137 critical trials funded with taxpayer money involving 41,000 kids, and they didn't even report the results? What happened to the money?
Senator, I think that researchers we support have an obligation to share their data publicly with the American people, no matter what the result.
Otherwise, it's wasted.
Yeah, agree.
All you want to do is fix NIH, don't you?
I do. I want to fix all those problems, Senator.
Thank you.
It started with a line that sliced through the Senate chamber like a knife through paper. Doctor, you don't look like Satan to me. From there, Senator Kennedy didn't just ask questions, he interrogated, exposed, and dismantled a narrative that the Democrats and the NIH have tried to preserve for far too long. And the best part? He did it with facts, not fury. This wasn't some performance for cable news. It was a methodical, devastating breakdown of how taxpayer dollars meant for saving lives are being siphoned off for ideology-driven nonsense, and how the very agency tasked with leading medical breakthroughs has lost its way. Kennedy came in sharp, surgical. He didn't let the witness dodge behind flowery platitudes about values and science. No, he went straight to the numbers and the moral failures. When he described scenarios of university presidents using NIH money to renovate houses or buy yachts instead of curing diseases, you could feel the oxygen leave the room. The witness, stunned, admitted that would be morally repugnant. And guess what? It's not hypothetical. It's happening. He called out the direct versus indirect costs racket, how elite institutions like Harvard and Yale with billions in endowments still leech off federal grants, spending over 60% on overhead. Let that sink in. The money isn't curing cancer, it's funding administrators' offices and labyrinthine DEI departments. Then Kennedy made it real. He brought it home for the American people. What's more important, he asked, funding research for cerebrovascular disease or dumping $142,000 into a project to expand gender-affirming care via telehealth for minors? Silence. Because the answer is obvious to anyone who hasn't lost their moral compass. It wasn't just one outrageous grant. Kennedy ran down the list like a prosecutor reading an indictment. $120,000 for 3D avatars to process gender dysphoria. $2.3 million to Brown University to study the LGBTQ community's mental health during COVID. Is that really where our limited resources should go while Americans die from cancer, stroke, and lung disease? The witness tried to dodge with vague appeals to non-political science, but Kennedy wasn't buying it, and neither is America, because this is political. When research dollars are rerouted from saving lives to pushing agendas, that's corruption cloaked in bureaucracy. And then Kennedy pulled out the killer question, the one that echoed through every taxpayer's mind watching this hearing. What happened to the money? Between 2017 and 2019, over 137 clinical trials involving 41,000 children, all taxpayer-funded, went unreported. The data disappeared. The results hidden. That's not just incompetence, that's betrayal. The witness admitted, yes, they should be publicly reporting those results. Yes, the NIH has to do better. Yes, it's wasted money if the research never reaches the public. And Kennedy, cool and clear, offered the solution. All you want to do is fix NIH, don't you? The reply? A quiet, almost embarrassed, I do. And that's the heart of it. This wasn't a witch hunt. This was a wake-up call. Kennedy wasn't trying to destroy the NIH. He was trying to save it. He believes in real science, real cures, real accountability, and he's not going to sit back while Democrats and woke administrators turn the nation's premier biomedical institution into a slush fund for ideological vanity projects. He exposed what the American people already suspect, that billions in research funding are being siphoned off, misused, and politicized, that those in charge care more about pronouns than patients, and that the system is broken not because it lacks money, but because it lacks morals. This hearing was a reckoning, and next time we'll dive into the biggest scandal yet, how whistleblowers inside the NIH are being silenced for exposing these abuses, and how new Republican legislation might be the only thing that saves medical science from itself. Stick with us. The truth is just getting started.